We'll just assume that it is live when it says it goes live. I think that's good. And stream. Right, legends, how we going? Good to see you out there. I'm just going to check if it's on. Me and Crypto Viking are going to do our lovely Monday Market Mondays. So every single Monday, guys, we're going to be doing a stream. Me and the Crypto Viking and some other people as well who are on the team will be coming in from Trendmaster and talking about the charts. But we're going to dive straight into it. No fanning around. We're going to go through what we think, what happened. Obviously, I was calling for, what was the price action of Bitcoin? You can see it right now in my VIP group. And on Twitter, I was calling for this move. This is actually using the liquidations indicator we have in MDX Algo now. So check out mdxalgo.com, guys. We actually have a brand new landing page, which is live right now. So you can check out all the indicators on the landing page. And guys, we have a new exchange as well. We've partnered up with a non-KYC exchange. There's so many freaking KYC, enforced happening right now. So we've actually partnered with the new exchange to get access to our trading bot and a non-KYC exchange. So the links are below, guys, to MDX Algo and the non-KYC exchange. Check those out, sign up, and you can get access to the trading bot in the future. Okay. So in terms of price action, guys, like I said before, this was the scenario I was looking for, coming down and grabbing the liquidity beneath us for the higher low to then pop up to the next area of resistance. And in hindsight, guys, that's pretty much exactly what we've got. You can see on my Twitter, there's the low, there's the higher low. We've come back down, guys. We pop back up into this area of resistance. We have a nice SR level here. And this is going back, guys, we already know, between 28 and around $30,000. This whole region, we were expecting some resistance. That's why these yellow lines are drawn on. And now, guys, what we're really looking for is is Bitcoin going to retest the highs? Let me get rid of all the oscillators a second because that's making quite a lot of information. Actually, we have the on-chain. This is actually the stable coins demand. We actually have come up into the red zone. Also, the oscillator, the core oscillator, which is the new Trendmaster MDX oscillator. This actually is overbought right now. So we've been expecting a pullback. Viking, when you were in our group earlier, you were actually saying that this area would be quite nice to take profit. And that's exactly what we've got. Yeah. And I haven't even said hello to you, mate. How are you? How's it going over there?
Friggin' fantastic, sir. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm just checking if we're actually live or not. It looks like we are actually live. Okay, perfect. But yeah, we'll get into your analysis in a minute and we'll go through the indicators because the guys in the community in MDX Algo have been absolutely loving the new indicators. We've got like 15, including the other whole bundle. We've probably got 20 indicators overall. And you can pick a strategy for anything you want now. With all the tutorial videos, so it's really, really looking cool. But in terms of analysis, guys, let's just zoom out a little bit. So we're at resistance now. The higher-low structure is what we've got. We do now have, you can plot out a trend line on that. Obviously, 2 points of data isn't as, it's not as, let's just say the word being as, what is the word, Viking? 2 points of data, what is it? Less?
It's not confirmation, it's just probability.
Lovely. Yeah, it's less certain. There's less, you put less weight on it, but you could put a trend line along here, guys, and then that could be pointing towards maybe seeing some support on that again. And if it holds, you could be looking at a play there, potentially getting above resistance and actually moving up to the top side. I have a hunch, guys, on this. I'm just going to make it really frank and really clear. I can see the comments coming in. Guys, also go in the comments, slam it out there. Put what you're doing in your strategies at the moment in the good old chat box. I haven't streamed in months, so I'm a little bit rusty, but I'm back. So yeah, guys, I was saying from the beginning, actually, on my Twitter, that it wouldn't surprise me to see Bitcoin go into some massive long-term ascending formation style type of accumulation, actually, at a higher price. If you're looking up here, if we came to 31,000, 32,000, we stopped, it wouldn't surprise me to see Bitcoin come back down, make another higher low, continue up higher, and basically just carve out this formation for the next few months, guys. It really wouldn't surprise me to see this type of price action. We've seen this type of price action multiple times in history on Bitcoin, especially the 20K top. So when it went to $20,000, that was the ceiling. Couldn't get above 20K for multiple months. We saw it before in the prior bull market as well. Couldn't get above $1,000, broke about 1.8, went all the way to 20. So I could see some sort of ceiling, being kind of held down, in terms of the sellers coming in at around $30,000. We've seen from the beginning of time from our prior cycle. And let me get it up for you, legends. You can see on our prior cycle, legends, that $30,000, if it will load, the internet's been really weird. We had a massive storm here in Cyprus, actually, Viking, and it wiped out our internet yesterday. We actually had zero internet for about 15 hours yesterday. All the internet was gone.
I can imagine Will dying. He's just like,
yeah, I know.
What am I gonna do?
It was like, I run an internet business and I have no fucking internet. I was like, yep, that's how we do it in Cypre. It's not great for the trades either. But you can see here, this 30K region here, it's been acting as support multiple times, also sort of resistance as well prior, and we've seen it as resistance multiple times as well. And that's actually where we're seeing resistance right now, is actually on the ultimate wicks of these levels. That's where we're seeing resistance right now. So it's pretty good to see that. That's typical SR we see in trading in general. So it wouldn't surprise me, guys. I won't go back and find the tweet. It will take me ages. But it wouldn't surprise me, guys, to see some sort of squeeze up and holding around here for multiple months. You know, it could even be back down, like literally just carving out and just creating some sort of long-term ascending formation, just squeezing up against resistance up here and eventually exhausting it. We saw that in 2000 and it would have been 2021, I think, on $20,000. You can see here, it comes up into the price action as resistance, back down, as resistance, back down, as resistance, and then breaks it. Wouldn't surprise me to see something like that. You could even say before, guys, going back multiple years. Now, I won't go back too far. This price action doesn't go. But we have other iterations as well where you see resistance. It fannies around and then breaks above it eventually. And it's basically just a bullish deviation to the high. And then you just flip up to the next leg. I think the next leg for Bitcoin after 30 is 48,000. There are going to be some stop-offs. You can see on this chart, you can see a few stop-offs for me. I actually think the time it's taken for Bitcoin to go from 15 to 30 is probably going to be significantly longer than the time it will take Bitcoin to go to 30 to 48. I actually think that this will be much more like the sort of, let's just call it the third wave or the fourth wave in that. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think this will be that last fast wave up. I don't think 48K gets broken this year. I've said that multiple times. I won't go into that thesis again. I said maybe by the end of this year we could see 48K. But once we get above 30, I would say that it's probably more likely to be a faster move. All of this price action and this resistance and support levels are going back a very long time now. So they're getting less and less significant, these levels. They are obviously there for a reason, but they are getting less and less significant as time goes on. So I'd say there's probably less volume in the books, and we could see a flush pretty quickly up, especially if everyone begins to get into the shorts, which we always know that's what usually generally happens. When Bitcoin came up to $20,000 for the first time, you can actually look at the long and short ratio. Everyone and their freaking mother. This always happens, obviously, when you have an expansion, almost a breaking. It wouldn't be an expansion yet because it hasn't broken the prior all-time high, but nearly a blue sky breakout expansion. Everybody here, guys, was trying to short the market. They were like, yeah, it's too bullish on the RSI. We're seeing huge, massive stochastic moves. Stochastics at the top. We're going to see moves back down. And guess what? That's the exact opposite of that happened. We had a stop off, and then it just shot through all of those shorts in terms of all those offside positions getting liquidated and stopped out. And that's the kind of similar scenario I could see here. And I've been saying this for a while, guys. You know, I said to you on the prior videos, I'll quickly show you again if anyone just come in here. This was my overall ideas. I thought Bitcoin was going to do something like this, looking at the liquidation levels. That's actually what we've got. And I would say, and I did say as well, that technically speaking, a lot of people were getting very bearish about this, and we have had this move now, and yes, it still can fail here, and it could be a lower high. That's fine. I get that. This is actually somewhere I am looking to take profit or short. But I would say that, you know, a lot of people are getting extremely doomsday bearish about this. But on this chart specifically, guys, and this is not a leverage chart. You know, we're looking at Binance. Well, actually, that could actually be a perpetual contract as well. But a lot of the other exchanges like Bybit and some of the other higher leverage perpetual contract exchanges, they went a lot lower. But Binance itself never actually broke structure. It always held a higher low. Technically speaking, that still is a higher low. It never actually broke the low. And we know from just general classical charting, if you haven't broken the low, there is no break of structure. Yeah, high, but if you haven't got a lower low, you haven't actually broken the behavior yet or the trend, per se. This is still an uptrending market. And this is basically the retest of the high. And this could be the lower high. My hunch, guys, like I said before, I think there is probably a little bit more to go on this. I can't get this chart up right. Actually, I probably could get this chart up right now. It'll take me a second. It'll be in the on-chain bundle. I'll just do it in real time. So there is actually an indicator, guys, we have here called the long to short ratio crossover.
Oh, just make sure the chart's not inverted.
Oh, yeah, I've got the invert on the chart as well. Let me just turn that off. Yeah, thank you, my personal... Is it on? Yeah, it's not invert. Yeah, we don't invert that. Thanks, mate. So you can see here, guys, that on the daily time frame, it's going to flip in a second, guys, when I get the invert. You can still do it like this as well. This is actually getting a little bit scruffy. So you can see, guys, let me try and make this as perfect as possible. These are the indicators you're looking at right now on this chart. So we were talking about this the other day. And essentially, guys, like, I look at the long-short ratio a lot. you know, regardless of where the feed's coming from, it's still good information. But every single time, guys, this is the MDX Trendmaster crypto on-chain long to short ratio within that indicator suite. You can see that every single time, guys, when everybody starts shorting the market like insanely, it's usually corresponding with a market bottom. And I'm doing this roughly. That was the FTX crash. And again, guys, when we were getting here, everyone was getting super bearish. But guess what? This is now flipped and turned around. And this indicator actually has pretty much done a good job of identifying that. Let me go back to where I was before. Done a pretty good job of identifying that. And I would say that actually, as of right now, guys, my hunch is that we're probably going to squeeze around for a little bit. I think it's actually going to be probably like within here for a prolonged period of time. Yes, Viking's going to speak about his thesis he was talking about in our group earlier about there being some shorts here or potentially just taking profit on longs. I'm actually long from literally the wick low. I think I took most of it off, but I think you can see here, guys, I've pretty much taken all the profit off this, but I'm like $3,000 still in this position. I took profit a little bit too early on this, but that's fine. Profit's profit. So this area here is where you really want to hold. There probably is some taking profit, which we're doing here. I've already taken some profit off this for this resistance zone. And this area here, guys, if it does actually fail, you could see it come back down. Whether we make another lower high or not, that remains to be seen. But this area here, guys, these two yellow lines are basically what we want to get above for the bulls. I don't think this gets broken anytime soon. I actually think it's probably going to be between here and here for a while. And just do that 20K squeeze up bullshit. I think we've got a while of that. I think potentially end of October with some of the Fed funds rate information in the inverted yield curve, I could see some sort of flush back to fiat currency, but that would be, you know, a black swan event, or I think it would be a very short-lived event. So I think there could be lower prices. I'm not saying that we're not going to go below 20 or 25 in this instance here. I do think actually this would be really good, but whether we stay up here for a long period of time, I think it's just ultimately the same as going down to 20 very quickly. And I just don't think we're really going to spend much time below 15.8 probably ever on this market. I think we're really going to stick around here and generally squeeze up towards the end of the year, maybe go through $30,000 up to 48K by the end of the year. And then into next year, I think that's when the market environment gets better. And all this shit coming out, guys, in terms of macro, you know, every single freaking nation on the world is like a gigaprint because of just everything going on. Look at America right now. It's doing I think it did $16 trillion in the last 16 days. Sorry, $1 trillion in the last 16 days. 16 trillion. That'd be $1 trillion a day. I wouldn't put it past America. Wouldn't put it past them, but that's a little bit too far. But so that's my thesis, guys, ultimately, overall. And let's bring it over to the Viking, the crypto Viking from Trendmaster. Let's have a look at what you're looking at, man. I want to hear your thoughts and go through some of the indicators we've got in the suite. Let me just quickly mention as well, guys, mdxalgo.com, brand new landing page. So you can look at all the indicators. And guys, we've partnered up with a brand new exchange as well. So it's a MDX Algo, and generally speaking, and myself, I don't believe that KYC is good for the industry as a whole. I think it's generally detrimental. There might be some good parts of it and some bad parts, but I think overall it's generally detrimental. So we partnered up with a new exchange to have the MDX trading bot integrated into that exchange. The link is below, guys. It says no KYC, and check out mdxalgo.com for our new landing page. Viking, take it away.
What is good, sir? Yeah. So kicking off a couple things, just looking at specifically at liquidity. You know, we're all big fans of the market will move towards liquidity. Liquidity is a magnet, and that's how the market works. 80% of people have to lose money for the 20% to make money. And how do you do that? You stop people out, you take their positions, and then you fill larger positions using those liquidations. So what do we actually have? What's that?
The Pareto principle, I think it's called. That's a principle 80-20.
Yeah. And so from the low, and you mentioned it earlier, is that the low that we made on the 18th of August, right? That held on all spot contracts. But every single perpetual that I've looked at, every perpetual futures contract, they all took the lows out that went back from June, effectively taking a significant amount of liquidity going all the way back to March, essentially. But in the local structure, and that's what really matters, we had a nice liquidity grab here. A very significant amount of high leverage liquidity was taken back on Sunday, the 24th. Nice little move down. And then what do we have above us? It took us a week to do it, but we built up enough high leverage liquidity. We used that to get us back higher up in the market. And that gave us really good access to some of the lower leverage stuff, 20x's and 10x shorts. So you now have about a month and a half, 6 weeks worth of short liquidity at the top of this range that has now been taken. So what's the next move? Essentially, the major liquidity is back up at 29.7 and above. The major market short liquidity is up there. Everything above us, there's a lot less liquidity. There's still a possibility of going up there, but we've taken the majority of the local stuff and now we started to break down. Now, if we get closer to, say, 27K, there's a couple of interesting things with that level. The higher leverage liquidity, the 100Xs, the 50Xs, they don't get free rides for very long. Essentially, the 100Xs get taken out several times, dozens of times intraday, 50Xs as well. And the fact that we're building that up now below the local price action is pretty interesting. So local priority, yeah, we hit 28.5, perfect. If I go back to my other chart, what's that level? It's the Q2. We're testing the quarterly levels just like we're supposed to. So that's awesome. That moved down now. We've now cleared under the daily weekly open. Again, major level. What's the next major level below us? 27.2 and 27K. Something interesting that came out today as well. We have the CME report. So CME report essentially showed us that there's two gaps below us, right?
What are the dealers doing, brother?
The dealers in this area actually were closing shorts and profit, but we don't have that data because they release it on Fridays and it only shows the Tuesday to the previous Tuesday to the one before that. So it's back tested data or backdated data, excuse me.
Yeah. They have it behind. Yeah. They keep that for the fucking insiders, bro. Little bastards.
Oh yeah. But the thing I like to use the most is the asset managers, institutionals. They have been wrong for the last 2 years. They've been longing every single high.
They've been hodling for dear life.
Yeah. And that's their problem. They get taken out, essentially. They've been added shorts into the lows. So that's always a good sign because they're stupid and they make mistakes. At the same time, you see in this downside zone, leverage funds closing, 20% of their positions, deleveraging, exiting. That's awesome. Getting back up to the highs here, I bet next report's going to show a significant change. Dealer intermediaries, probably lots of shorts being closed in this structure and longs potentially being added. But the interesting thing, CME gaps, right? When there's gaps in price action on Bitcoin, they have like an 80 to 90% fill rate. And we have two of them below us. We have one at 27,190 to 27,090. And then we have the next one down at 26,4 to 26,250. So if we do have the continuation of the breakdown, that should be your target. Absolutely. If we have a continuation breakdown that takes that, the liquidity, right? That's the expectation.
There's a lot down there. Like you're looking at, so guys, when you look at this chart, you're looking at the MDX Trendmaster liquidations indicator, and it literally shows you where all of the juicy leverage is coming from. Actually, the dark orange is 100x. So interestingly, there's quite a lot of 100x just on that move, it makes sense because people there's going to be a handful of people who just hit 100x long and then they just got lucky and then it's just moved on in that direction for them. So it looks good.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole thing now. So now we've got a couple levels to the downside if we continue to break structure to the downside, which is fine. Going back to the normal chart and looking at some of the major levels there, we're seeing some decent buyback. We've tested some levels here, some local structure stuff from what we did previously. There's untested levels down at 27.2. If you're looking at it on chart, that's where a CME gap is. And in this whole area, there's juicy high leverage liquidity that could take you essentially down to the previous weekly open, down at like 26.3, 26.250. So local priority, because we broke the topside structure, I think is done until we regain the daily weekly. If we regain the daily weekly locally, you'll probably look for a test back at the highs.
So what's your plan? If I can have my voice. I've been rusty from the streaming. So what's your plan right now, Viking? You were doing a stream in our VIP group earlier, and we're going to continue this video, by the way, guys, into our VIP group in a minute. So after this video, we're going to do an hour here of analysis. We've got another 40 minutes. We're going to continue in Discord, which is our VIP group. Go to mdxalgo.com to join that. But I'm saying, you were talking about, you're looking to take profit from some of your longs. I already have taken profit on some of my longs. I think I was only a small position of 50K long, and I basically took off about 90% of it. I think actually about 35,000 contracts long. Left about $3,000 on. So you're taking profit. I think that's the right thing to do here because we're obviously at macro SR resistance from previous wicks from maybe even 2 years ago. So you're taking profit, but what are you doing? You're waiting for a higher low. You're looking for this to break. What do you think about the trend? Do you think it's worth actually keeping some positions in, or tell us what you think?
Yeah, so locally, essentially, I talked about on the stream earlier in the Discord. This is a great place to take profit. So I'm about 80%, 75% out for my long that I got. I think we all took it around the same spot, 25-1 or around the roundabouts.
Yeah.
So just because you're hitting macro resistance, the quarterly open level, it's a great time to take profits. Adjust your stop loss. You know, you want to stay perpetually in positions if you can. Always try to stay hedged. But yeah, don't ever not take profit. Like if you feel like taking profit, okay, yeah, take some off the board.
At least what you put in, and at least take out so you can't lose the trade. That's essentially
exactly. Stop loss and profit, man. That's the game. Stop loss and profit equals zero risk. That's the money. Yeah, and then the local structure, lower time frame. The biggest thing to consider here is that we've actually broken low time frame structure. So we've broken essentially the structure of the daily weekly open, the high structure. This is essentially liquidity grabbing from the April Q2, and now we're failed underneath that. So it's a little bit no man's land. I'm not really ready to short until we get a nice clear failure off of the level. Realistically, I'd love it if we just did a nice little regain. People are still trying to short this. And like you said before, I mean, the reason they're trying to short all this is that we've just gone through essentially 2 months or 3 months of like downside crabby price range stuff. So what happens? The market and the retail traders get literally psychologically destroyed and say, well, every time I try to long, I get stopped out and I lose money. So I'm just going to try to short. And that's the switch.
And that's the switch,
yeah. And then that's what happens.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And then that's the fuel to keep going. So let's just talk about this, because this is the liquidations engines we got here, which is basically visualizing where those liquidations are. This is the MDX Trendmaster liquidations indicator, guys. Absolutely fucking state-of-the-art stuff. I'm so happy that we've got this and this partnership happened. But you can see, up here, we're lacking a little bit now. You know, we've come through all of this stuff here. It's all wiped out. Now, guess what? All of this is looking very, very juicy. We're at resistance. You know, it wouldn't be surprising to see something coming into this. And even if this did come through, I'm not saying it has to happen right now. Obviously, this looks pretty crazy. But if it did do something like that, it still wouldn't actually be the end of the world for it beginning to continue up higher. There's a lot of space now. When markets move quickly in one direction, they can move in the opposite direction very, very quickly as well, but not kind of lose any levels. It's just taking a whole load of stuff from the top side. We're at resistance like we already know. I think that this will probably get tagged. And I would say, actually, if we actually did draw a trend line on this, and I think this is actually probably worth doing, you know, I think this is actually worth having something on. You know, if we do see this come back down into this region and just wick through it and it holds, I actually do think there could be another long down here, guys. And then if we do get above here, we're looking at ascending formation. You know, like I said to you before, or, you know, one thing to mention as well, guys, is the oscillators. This is actually the on-chain stable coin flow. That's right up the top. And then it's a new indicator, so I'm just trying to get the names right. And then we have obviously the core oscillator here, which is overbought. So these are two things which are kind of signaling, okay, maybe look for taking some profit off your longs. I'm long from around here. That's exactly what I've done. But guys, if you do, this is what I think, you know, if we do come up and then we hold around this trend, I could see actually potentially some sort of ascending formation popping us out of this. And it wouldn't be surprising to me to see it come up to retest these highs. Guess what's going to happen? Everyone's going to get super long and super euphoric. Like we're going, you know, this is it. We're going to break $30,000. I think it's actually quite unlikely that Bitcoin, if this is the move, obviously we have to wait because it could fail here for a lower high. If this is the move, which breaks above this key resistance level, I think it's very unlikely actually that this would be the move which gets us above $30,000. That's a lot of buy action having to happen from here to here without some sort of exhaustion and people taking profit. I'd say it's probably more likely that if we do get this move now, that actually we're going to stay probably, you know, range bound again for multiple months. And like I said from the beginning of this video, it reminds me of the 20K squeeze up to that level. It reminds me of 2019. It reminds me of this squeeze up and then building pressure, exhausting the books. And then everyone eventually, because they get so fucking bored, they end up trying to short it. And then that's kind of the fuel to go up.
Well, that's one of the interesting things. Yeah, so that's actually one of the interesting things about it is that some switches that we could actually essentially see are from Bitcoin dominance. That's something a lot of people don't look at, but Bitcoin dominance for me is always a great indicator of like what's the flow. Like we already have that indicator. We have crypto flow index, so we can actually see like what you should be prioritizing, high caps, mid caps, or shit coins. But just looking at market cap dominance, obviously Bitcoin's in the controlling move. Every time you see Bitcoin dominance dropping to the downside, you'll see some and price stabilizing. Let's say it's just ranging price. You're actually going to be seeing more money flowing into alts. And that's a very interesting thing, because essentially Bitcoin will be ranging, Bitcoin dominance dropping. Why? Because money is going into alts instead. So that's honestly the best time to see, dominance going down on Bitcoin, price going sideways or even up. But all of the money is then going into the alt market. And currently, if you look at like totals, it's just not really the same. Most alts have been having a couple good days over the weekend, nothing really crazy. A couple of them outperforming other things, but in general,
let's have a look.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, cool. I'm gonna have a look at the Dixie as well. I think you make some valid points. I want to look at Dixie. I've been calling this for a while. I think my chart, which I drew probably about, I don't know, must have been a month ago now. I went on the old crypto banter, didn't I? I was talking about Dixie. I don't know what's happened to my screen. Can you see it, Legends? Can you see it on the screen? Yeah, so let's go on the weekly time frame. I suppose, yeah, so this is kind of what I drew out a while ago. And essentially, this is pretty much exactly what we're getting. This is definitely going to have an effect, on the market as a whole, not just crypto I'm talking about. I'm saying that generally every single price market, so obviously indices, equities, commodities, cryptocurrencies, individual stocks and shares, if the strength in the dollar is rising, that means people are selling things into the dollar essentially. But I was calling for this a while ago, guys, and I was saying that we did actually have a dip back in as well. Didn't go as shallow as this. I thought it could have come to the mid range of this, but we just kind of propelled up. And the good thing is, guys, I said this before, obviously this is already drawn on, but when we get to here and then we start doing that, I do actually think this will probably be the beginning of the next bull market. I think this will be the crypto bull market beginning. I think when this fails, okay, it might not fail exactly here. My crystal ball might not be perfect, pinpoint perfect. So who knows? But I think it's very likely that, let me just actually get rid of these lines. Anyway, I'll just do it like this. From here to here, I think it's very likely that Dixie will fail. It's unlikely, I think, it's going to completely break and continue and have this, fall from, let's just say, and actually a bring from grace. It's going to go up. It's going to be like defying all people's expectations. It'll just be going off into the moon. I think it's very unlikely.
That's a terrifying thing if it does. If it actually makes a new high, like you drew it out perfectly, dude. Like if it 110, that is a perfectly untested range. Like 109, 110, that area right there where should
fib on it, yeah. If you do a fib on it, it's going to be pretty perfect into around here.
Yeah.
But we've been training for so long now, bro. We can just do this without even looking at the fibs.
You can see the 0.5 and the 618 just without thinking.
I feel like I got eye contacts in with the fib numbers on every fucking goddamn chart. But
funny enough, actually, you know where we just failed we actually failed at the 1.618. We with auto charting tools. I was using the
let me show you
price projection. Yeah, I could show it here.
Yeah, sure. Because we have a MDX Trendmaster has basically we've connected together, guys, in terms of our partnership. We have an auto charting feature. We're gonna drop a video soon showing you how it works. You don't need to know how to chart to trade these days because of these types of tools.
Yeah, so look at that. Perfectly to the 1618. We actually did a Fibonacci retracement extension, so we can actually use that in price projection modeling, which is pretty common.
Fibs as well.
Yeah, and then on top of that, right, we had the full projection all the way out to the 1618. That was the point of failure that we now have drawn back to. Essentially, we now have the next range point at 27.4, where we have untested structure. But beyond that, we have everything from the fib retracements. We have the trend lines. Because
I've got a video. You were in the video as well.
So like you and me, it's like all of us. It's like how many thousands of hours you've charted. Now it's like automatically drawing shit for you. So, and that's the most important thing is like it's a time saver and you get accuracy the whole time. And even the price projection modeling, so instantly if you're trending to the upside or not, essentially.
Literally, cool. It trades for you, essentially. It charts for you. But I just wanted to finish that point. So, yeah, from here to here, I think it's very likely that Dixie fails. And I actually do think that this failure will be a continuation to the lower side trend. We could get a higher low and maybe begin to go higher, because there is a few scenarios which could potentially play out with a dollar milkshake theory. I think the dollar milkshake theory is losing, it
already played out.
I'm losing weight on it because I just think that there's other systems now, which is another alternative going to steal away from that idea. I do think that other fiat currencies will fail before the dollar. I think the dollar is still the strongest. It still does about 70% of transactions, but it's there's BRICS, there's the BRICS nations are doing their stuff. There's a lot of people looking at gold and silver in terms of not individuals but countries. Look at China, up to 5,000 tons now, which is crazy increase in gold and silver reserve. And then you've got things easy on ramps to Bitcoin. So I think the dollar milkshake theory is still going to happen, but there won't be as much of a flush, really. I think there'll be more alternatives for the dollar not to. The theory is that the dollar is going to strengthen when all of the other fiat currencies fail. And I do see that happening to a degree, but I think it's not going to be as of a bigger degree that most people think. And if we do fail between here and here, I do think that could be the beginning of the next bull market. You got to remember, this is going to take, we're looking at probably another year. This could climb for another year, maybe 6 months. But, guess what? A year flies by, Viking, and we're fucking looking at October next year. So, that would be halving 6 months prior. So, we could definitely be in that situation. We're in a bull market. But I think this is interesting to look at. I think this will have a little bit of a dampening effect on Bitcoin. And I do think that chart there is a key indicator for me to say that it's quite unlikely, if this does rally to here, that it's going to be the continuation up. If Dixie was in a different, more precarious situation where it was maybe failing and looking like it was a little bit toppy and looking weak, I could say, okay, well, maybe if we see a flush out of the dollar and everyone gets scared, where they're going to go? Because there might be a capitulation event in the US dollar, or the Dixie, which is just generally fiat. It's not just US dollars. And then we could see that being the fuel to really come into the crypto market, because I think that the on-ramps there these days, especially with the ETFs, which aren't here yet. But again, that's another thing we'll wait for. But without an ETF and without Dixie breaking down, I don't think we're going to get above this yet. I think it's more likely we came to it sort of resistance again, fanning around for a while. But yeah, you were going to say some stuff as well, Viking. Carry on what you were going to say.
Yeah. So no, you're absolutely right. And with the whole, I'm obsessed with the dollar currency index. Like I draw on this thing for hours. It's like my little pet project. But ignoring the other lines right now, just focusing on the fact that there was already an instance proving the dollar milkshake theory that played out, and that's what played out during the whole COVID stuff, post essentially the bull run that we just had, which was entirely synthetic, just printing of money, right? But I think it's very possible that it could play out again. And the only areas on the chart that actually kind of remind you of that happening are, 80s levels time of craziness. And, interest rates are already high, but they ain't that bad. It's been a lot worse a lot of times. And if we get something, an event that gets us, and there's a lot of evidence that I've been talking to a lot of my friends, and just, there's evidence that where we are right now on the chart is somewhere in the late 70s, as far as not really understanding the dangers of inflation, not really understanding that, hey, if we magically print money, which magically creates a synthetic bull market, which, it is, it's a terrifying thought. I mean, I talked about it. I talk about it all the time because people need to friggin' listen. The M2 money stock, the representation of money in the market. It's an up only chart, but the thing that's crazy is what we did back essentially from the COVID dump, which is, oh, well, we're going to shut everything down because fuck it, and print 42% more money in the markets than it ever existed. And people wonder why they feel like it's 40 or 50% inflation, because it is. If you go back 3 years, it really is.
And a lot of that printed currency hasn't even made it into the economy yet. The velocity is still relatively low.
It went right to the richest. It went right it literally went right to the richest people. It's all of the checks. Oh, sorry, you're unemployed, but here's $1,400. Do you think people are going to save that money and put in a bank? No, they're going to pay for food.
Goods and services. And it's interesting as well, because they've put the interest rates up, which obviously will dampen the effect of higher prices. It's not dampening the effect of inflation. Obviously, we have this whole thing in the world where everyone thinks inflation is the actual prices rising and falling. It's not. Inflation is different. Prices going up and down is due to supply and demand, and prices rising and falling is nothing to do with inflation. Inflation is just inflating or deflating the supply of something. But the funny thing is that the interest rates are quite high right now, so they are pulling out a lot of liquidity out of the system. Because you've got to remember that everyone's got to pay a higher interest rate. That interest rate ends up back at the Fed, which is zero sum. If the money ends up back at the Fed because the government have to pay 5% on their debt, essentially what's happening is you're just seeing a squeeze back down. And like you're looking at this chart right now, and it's not as significant as what they created. But I would say that all of the money which was printed, essentially, eventually at some point, the government has to repay its debt. And that goes back to the Fed. And that's the moment that the money is pulled out of the economy. But even with all of that, most of the money hasn't come into circulating supply. The velocity is still low. Even with all that pulling out, you're still looking at the chart, which is representing it right now. Massive increase. You can't just expect the price of things to stay the same. That's why we're not going to go back to the 2000s levels. Everyone's like, we're going back to 2009 levels. No, we're probably not, because the likelihood is we don't think to ourselves, oh, we're going to go back to like 1920s levels, after the stock market crash. Like, no, it's like we don't go back to those points because there isn't an ability for that to happen because of the devaluation of the dollar itself.
Yeah, I did some projections, and that's the expectation if we actually have a depression. Like, that's the next major market structure. 4K freaking, yeah, that's not going to happen. But like, here's a really interesting
one. It could be something like there could be an absolute black swan where literally like. But I would say that it's very unlikely. People don't understand the difference between value and price, but I won't go into that right now because. If you have something which has risen in price, but the thing it's priced in is being doubled and the price doubled, there's no increase in value. It's just an increase in price. So it's very unlikely. I really, really highly doubt that we'll ever see traditional stock markets going back to 2008 levels for a prolonged period of time, just because of the exponential increase of the circulating supply of dollars there are today in comparison to then.
I got a really cool chart if I like to freak you out with, by the way. This will make your conspiracy brain go nuts.
We got 20 more minutes, legends. We're gonna continue this conversation in the VIP group. So go to our new landing page, mdxalgo.com. Check out our new partner exchange as well, which is a non-KYC exchange. Fuck KYC. We all think it's bad for the industry, so we've partnered up with a brand new exchange below. It's a non-KYC one. Check it out, and then check out our new landing page for all of these things you're seeing. We've got a big partnership with Trendmaster, and most of you guys watching right now are going to already be a part of that. So, but yeah, show me some sick charts, Wizzy.
Okay, so this is Viking. So this is the Dow, right? Everyone knows what the Dow looks like. It's a pretty, if you trade at all, you know what this thing looks like. And 30 years back, right? Going back 94, 95, whatever. Oh yeah, markets go up, right? That's why people have, I've talked to these people in real life. They have, I work for a long only hedge fund. Like, that's stupid, but okay, cool. I understand why you believe that. And then we just looked at previously, we looked at the WM2NS, the M2 money stock. Oh, money is just being printed and printed and printed and printed forever, all eternity. We're just increasing the M2. Well, there's something really cool you can do with TradingView. You can actually take charts and create custom charts by essentially comparing them. So let's take the Dow and add that as a comparison to the M2. This is what the actual market value would look like against the M2, which is really kind of freaky if you think about the value of money. The true actual value high was back in the 2000s or the dot-com bubble. And then from the 08 recession, it was bad, like really bad and much worse than the COVID dump. But even in the synthetic high that we created from 2021, the money, it never reached a value higher than what we had beforehand. They're just printing money essentially to synthetically create it. So when you take that synthetic printing out and you just do a two money comparison, yeah, you're seeing, sideways for 20 odd years and actually losing structure, losing highs.
Yeah, it's fascinating, man. It's absolutely fascinating what happens with this. But I was just typing in the chat. Continue. Do you want to speak about anything else?
Yeah, I can rant for days about,
I sound like I just wasn't listening to you, but I was in the chat. I was blasting some chat out. I'm like, yeah, bro, anything else? Let's carry on. Give me some sexy charts, Viking, man.
Yeah, so anyways, let's look at some low time frame stuff because I know there's a lot of degen traders in here, and I like doing it.
Yeah, I'll do some low. I'm actually in the chat. I'll put in the chat what I should chart. I'm going to chart some lower cap altcoins. I'm going to do prop chain because I really think prop chain's got a good future. I invested in it, so I'm going to do them. I might do Plutus. They've had a bit of a wreck city recently. I might look at some of the other alts as well, like ADA. People are saying that in the chat. Wild. Oh yeah, WLD. But yeah, guys, slam an altcoin in the chat, and me and the Viking will chart some altcoins with our indicators. We have literally got the state of the art, top dog indicators in the industry, which can definitely help you give you some good insights in terms of where to look to buy and sell. But carry on, brother.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the biggest problem that the crypto market still has, and I mean, it's not just Binance, right? Like Binance volume is pretty much wrecked anyways, but realistically, the spot volume looks around about the same for most of the market. The spot volumes were the highest back in March. All right, spot volume started dying essentially, and they haven't recovered even on Binance, and that's a pretty crazy thing. So not a whole lot of significant buying price action from spot buys in this zone, anything above 30K, and that's what we saw here at the highs back in July. Essentially, is that people aren't trying to buy; they're not trying to accumulate at 30K. So what does that tell you? Essentially, is like if people aren't buying, if there's not spot hodling going on at these levels, the price has to go down to meet demand, and that's kind of like a freaky thing for a lot of people. They're like, well, what can we actually do? Well, there's a really cool thing we can use, and this is something that we found out just by happen chance. Let me turn that off for a second because y'all ain't ready for this one.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I'm ready for that. So we actually,
brother, we love it.
so with the liquidations, we actually found something really crazy. We by putting it on the weekly time frame and then changing it to the bands, so we can actually see liquidity bands in real time. We can see the entire market of core liquidity since the beginning of crypto, essentially the beginning of Bitcoin. Every single time we've hit the core band of liquidity, that's been the low, and that's a model that hasn't been broken yet. So that's pretty nuts. So even here, like, so people saying that we can't go back down to these levels, like make new lows, it's still possible. I don't think it's like, that's the big thing, especially with futures. And, all we need is like some crazy new virus coming out of a lab and all of a sudden we'll just do black swan event, new downside.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it could be anything, mate. It could be, I think the most likely black swan would be some sort of nuclear event in Russia. I think that could be something which would really freak the market out. On every level, I don't think anyone could even comprehend what could potentially happen.
Oh yeah, they're probably gonna do a nuke test. I think about it like strategically. They're just totally off subject. I think they might do a nuke test since the UK is sending like soldiers to Ukraine. So if they do like an internal nuke test,
like fuck it, we could go on for hours. But I would say like this is why I tell people you have to use a stop loss. They're like, no, I'm 100x long and I don't need to stop because I know it's going to go there. It's like, dude, you don't know if Putin is arranging a nuclear strike right now. Nobody knows. So use a fucking stop loss because we understand that the market makes the fools at the most. And actually, that's the wrong quote by Mark Douglas. Mark Douglas, he says, market makes fools at the most, but the market can do anything at any time. It's completely irrational and chaotic. Anyway,
that's a great book, by the way.
Yeah, it's a really good
Mark Douglas. Mark Douglas is like probably the best. Like that book.
Trading in the Game, isn't it? He did one. Yeah. I can't remember what it was. Trading in the Game, or
yep, that's it.
Yeah, and he talks about loads of shit in it. I actually read it years ago, and then I re-listened to it, and I was like, yeah, this is lit. And then he did. His quote was, "Anything can happen at any time in any market." That was it.
Yeah. 100%. And like your point about the whole move your stop loss, like take profit, it's very simple. Like, let's say you have, an entry, right? And you're in a long, your market's going up, you're taking a long, and that's your stop loss. It's down here. Well, the moment you're in profit and you move your stop loss into above your entry in a long or below in a short, essentially moving your stop loss on a profit, your risk to your account, let's say you're risking, 2% of your account at any time, right? Just as an example, the moment your stop loss is in profit, you have no risk. You have a zero risk to your account. And what that means is if you understand risk management, you can now go and trade other things. You have a free trade. Okay. You don't have any risk to your capital.
You can calculate. Yeah, you can just calculate what the minimum win is and then just use that as your next trade risk. Because you literally are just equal on both ends.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the whole point. Like, if you can essentially build into the point where you're now in like 20, 30, 40 trades. If you can manage them, like only trade as much as you can manage. But yeah, your risk is still neutral, which is crazy. And people are like, what? I don't understand. I thought I had 100x cross leverage. Like, no. Don't do that, sir.
Yeah, the cross is dangerous. Like, there's a time and place for cross. But if you're using cross, like it's 100% gospel, you use a stop, obviously, because otherwise you think you're God. Essentially, you're like, I am 100% right, and I will put everything on the line for it, which is fucking ridiculous. Let's chart some alts though, man. We've got about 15 minutes left. Slam your altcoins in the chat. I'll do some alts. I'm gonna do prop chain because I had a few requests in the other chat, and I think a lot of the community actually have got a lot of prop because most of the guys in my MDX in our VIP group, they actually got in on prop chain. That's not the right one. They actually got in on the seed and very, very early on the seed round. So I think it's just doing what it was supposed to do. Had a really nice move off here. That was just kind of the initial kind of like launch. Everyone gets excited about the future of it. And then obviously the future of it isn't today. That's fine. But prop chain's had a nice long downtrend, guys. It's obviously on the daily times frame. So this is micro caps we're looking at right now. I literally think it might be in the region of, I can't even remember what prop's at. It's going to be below 10 million for sure. We're looking at like 6 or 7 million. So very, very small micro cap coin. This is pretty good though in terms of structure here. You know, you've got a nice you can just draw a very casual trend line. You can see it's generally broken out. This is a slight change of behavior here. I wouldn't put too much weight on it just because obviously we are in a bear market, it is low liquidity. Let's go down the 4-hour time frame as well. Internet's been really slow. You know, it's promising. I don't think there's anything too much here really to sing and dance about, but it's promising that we've managed to get above this region here. Actually, it's kind of flirting with it on the 4-hour right now. So in terms of trading, accumulation, yes, obviously, if you're looking at long-term investing, but in terms of trading, what you really want to see is like a defined or definite hold of this level. You can see it's come up to here and it's just seen it resistance many, 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 many times, even off that there. And now it's beginning to try, but it's deviating. Okay, so what you want to see is it come back down, hold it, and you're looking for probably longs off that. And I think we could actually see some higher levels on this. I think it's probably more likely it breaks down again. This will be where it finds support and give it another go. But prop chain in general, you should check it out. I'm in on the seed. It's a long-term investment for me in terms of what they're trying to build and what they're trying to do. And that's how I have to split my game up. I have some investments and I have some trades. But investing for me is I hold it for longer than a year. And that's the minimum in crypto. If it was a higher market, it might be 5 years, like a stock or a share. But if you go into an investment with the preposition in your mind that I have to hold this longer than a year, that puts a lot of stress and it forces you to put a lot of scrutiny into the investment and learn about it, because if you have to hold it for longer than a year, and that's the rule, you need to make sure it's fucking good. Otherwise, you're just going to lose all your money. So that's the way I invest. But investing and trading is completely different things. But that's one thing. Anyone? There was one other altcoin here I'll quickly do, and I'll drop the floor to the old Viking. We need Viking coin, bro. Crypto Marine Viking coin. You should be called the Marine, the Viking Marine. So I don't know what's going on here. This chart's not really loading, but everyone was in FTM. I think this is Phantom. Really don't know anything about it, but we will chart it if my chart loads. People are saying AVAX. Maybe you take AVAX, Viking, if you've got some plans. So I think this is the right chart. FTM. Yeah, okay. So again, it kind of looks quite similar to prop chain. Long, sustained downtrend. It's actually on a daily, so it's just super downy down. You know, we've come down to macro lows. I have charted this already. It's the very similar situation to this. You could literally probably draw out, you know, this trend line and do exactly the same thing here. I'll get rid of it for now. Obviously, macro highs, who cares? Don't even bother looking at that yet because we haven't even got past all this stuff. But yeah, it's an expansion phase. Sorry, it's a impulse phase, impulse up. It's seen it all off. You know, if you're looking for long-term investing and you like it and you see something in terms of the edge, in terms of the due diligence you're making to take a time to learn about it, and you think it's a good investment, then this is definitely a time to look at it. But in terms of trading, there's not really anything here yet, guys. It's kind of similar to prop chain. It's not broken any of these levels. You know, it hasn't even managed to get above here yet, which is, you know, one-on-one, very simple. It needs to make a higher high and then a higher low. Hasn't done any of that yet. So it's just constantly making lower highs still. So, you know, it might have a slight higher low here. So it might be trying to do something, but it had a slight lower high here as well and failed. So,
yeah, it was also heavily tied to Sam Bankman-Fried.
And Bankman-Fried, yeah, okay.
Yeah, dude. And the whole Alameda Research stuff. They were a big bag holder. So a lot, and that's like, I mean, a lot of really great projects like Solana got absolutely like destroyed because of that. Because yeah, and that's the biggest issue I have is that you know, good projects get destroyed by bad people, and with Phantom,
yeah, I was always kind of Yeah, I was always kind of hating on Solana because I've kind of seen, you know, I remember the EOS days and the Cosmos days and the Telos days and the other one, which was like a governance chain. Like, it's all the same shit over and over again, repainted. It's literally the same shit, just repainted, Legends by different
it's just
animals,
the copy
like
paste coin. That's all it is.
ETH shitcoin factory, but like I think it's a dedicated proof of stake chain. It is fundamentally shit. That's why I was always looking to get out of Solana, because a lot of people get confused. They think that Solana is going to somehow kill Ethereum, but the value propositions are completely separate. You cannot can't compare the two. But in terms of Solana, I actually did buy a load of it just for a purely technical standpoint. And I bought loads of it when it had, I can't remember which dump it was. I think it was this dump. I bought a load of it, and I bought loads of Adder as well. And it's just strictly to do with technicals. And I bought a load of Solana. I can't remember which dump it was. It wasn't the FTX dump. It was later on. I think it was this one. And it dropped like 40. I think Adder dropped like 40%. Let me just get exactly the dates for you. Yeah, this one here. So Adder dropped 45% in a matter of literally days. Okay. So go and do any analysis and backtest and get some charts and get a spreadsheet and just go through any chart. I don't give a fuck whether it's crypto, stocks, shares, indices, individual Russell stocks, and just do an equation and say, if something drops more than 50% in less than a week, what is the probability of you being in profit or making money in 6 months? You got fucking great odds, okay? So this is looking at a 50% pullback. And guess what? Oh, I just clicked something and it's going to freeze now. There we go. Back to that. Internet's so slow. But yeah, no, it's a 50% drop. I bought a shitload. I actually was awake at 4 a.m. I think this was exactly at 4 a.m. If you go and find out, it was 4 a.m. it happened, and I bought loads of Adder, and I literally went already. So guys, you know, you can I'm doing in 6 months. Where will you be in 6 months? Just literally, I was in like 70% profit within hours. So Adder, I bought loads of Adder here. I am back to pretty much entry because it's a long-term investment. I'm not going to look to sell that. And I will look to buy more Adder as well. You know, just looking at this thing, it's rallied back off the lows, very similar to Bitcoin. It's then come and retested those lows just by purely experience and looking at this visually looking at this. It's taken a long time to grow, and it's lost all of it in a matter of days, and it hasn't even really made that much of a lower low. It's very likely going to get something on the other direction. If you invert the chart, it will just, you know, if you see this on an inverted chart, you're going to be like, okay, let's go. Like, you see this massive rally into it. Guess what? It's an easy fucking sell, isn't it? Like, if you this is the thing about inverting charts. It changes you. A lot of guys, if you saw this on Bitcoin, you'd be like, oh wow, look at this huge. Yeah, it's a mind trick, and you see this massive wick. It's a deviation. It's the most obvious short in history. So that's why it's the most obvious long in history. But anyway, Adder's really good. Solana as well. I do think they're both good. But I think Solana actually is quite a nice chart, actually. It's still respected this trend line. Obviously, it's only 2 points. You could maybe do a parabola on this now. And I would say it's likely, you know, either we get something like this and it comes back in, it continues this kind of arcing trend, or you have it so it's like, you know, we're in some sort of pet now and it flushes down later. But again, accumulation if you're investing, and if you're looking for short-term trading, you're just really playing the levels instead of like trying to play the swings. Any more alts in the chat? Let's have a look what we got. FNT.
Yeah, I got AVAX up, by the way, if you want to do that.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, yeah, let me just get all my
AVAX set up.
Rambling. Yeah, there we go. Okay. AVAX, biggest issue I have with AVAX is that we actually lost the $10 mark. So we're fundamentally under all the significant structure. If you want an easy line to judge an alt like right now, look at the yearly open for this year, the 2023 open. Is it above it or below it? If it's below it, well, shit, you're in kind of trouble. If you're above it, you're actually doing okay comparatively to a lot of the other coins in the total market. Right now, we're at macro resistance, right? We've got significant structure essentially building above us. We've got the major swing from the flush out here at $10. I mean, it needs to gain $10. I don't care what it does until then. It's making lows. That's the level that it lost that led to the low. Until we start regaining that, and ideally 1090, the yearly open, I don't really care. Like, it's downside priority.
It lines up nicely as well. Some of those a little bit higher, you got those nice little layers of support, and it's lining up pretty much perfectly on that. So I would say between there and the yearly open, you're looking for that being it. But yeah, we're not there yet.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like a lot of people get this in their mind for some reason that like, oh, but it's lower than where I want it to go. So maybe if I buy it now, I get it as a discount. Like that's not how it works. Like you have to like all
You
of
can
the
drop another
things.
100% from where you're at. Yeah.
Exactly. And the whole point is that you wait whatever is going on chart. If you still want to long
yeah.
it has to gain something, right? It has to prove that it's actually has demand created and we're actually going higher. Like everyone gets obsessed with, oh, buy the bottom, sell the top. It's like, how do you know it's the top? How do you know it's the bottom? You don't.
You need the
Wait for a
MDX
reversal.
indicators, bro. You need the MDX trend master indicators.
Exactly.
I forgot to do Plu. Let me just quickly do Plu for this legend. Yeah, Plutus. It's broken down actually. So Plu had this like for all the way through the bear market. Actually, Plu has been kind of going up, but it had that break. So if you look on, I'm on the wrong chart. I'm on the Coinbase chart. Let me try and find the chart I already had charted out. Which one did I have it charted out on? Was it the KuCoin one? It was I think it was one of them anyway. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it was KuCoin. It's been on KuCoin for ages. So it was respecting this trend line. Obviously, it's not loaded yet because we're in Cyprus and there's a fucking storm and the island doesn't have internet. So Plu is broken down. It's come back down to the longest term area, which I was saying was the accumulation zone from the beginning. I actually really like Plu. Plu, again, for me, is just a fundamental play. I just like the project and I like the team and I like the company. I've actually got them coming on tomorrow, I think. I think they're going to come on the show tomorrow, Plutus, so stay tuned for that. I use their product every day. But yeah, we're back at support, guys. You can see this area here where we broke through it. It's just been uptrending, but it did break that. And it actually had the warning shot was here when I actually made that lower low and then kind of went on that like almost like last wave. You know, if you're a wave counter, you can kind of get the aggressive last wave up. And it failed, and we came all the way back. So I'd say that, again, Plu is on support. It has some nice pops off it, losing it now. I would say it's more likely that Plu is likely going to go lower, actually. I don't see it holding here. You know, this trend line, this moving average is coming down. We're beneath this trend. We're at support. We just got completely fucked off it. So it wouldn't surprise me to see us go lower. And I think anywhere between here and here, again, you're doing the same shit we were doing at the beginning of the year or 2 years ago. You're accumulating for the investment and waiting for it to get back above it. And then we'll see what we can do. And then that trend line obviously is coming up later. So that's what I think about Plu, guys. Long-term investing, wait for this zone. And then in terms of, I think the market cap, like this is a market cap play. I think it's like less than 5 mil. So super, super low on that end. But trading,
I think it's more than that. But I mean, it's like even looking at the chart, like overall, it's never really had like a massive, run up and then loss. It's essentially in a long state of multi-year accumulation. That's what's weird compared to most of their altcoins, And
it's on Coinbase as well. That's the funny thing. I think it's just because they have really not distributed many coins to the market, and the only place you're going to go is the only place you're going to go is Coinbase to get it, and no one had it, before, so there wasn't any like when it came on the market, it didn't really dump because it was just like no one had the coin anyway, so it was the only place you could do is buy. I just think if they get into the US market and do well, they could see an increase in price because of the fundamental of the coins. You need them for a reason in the platform. But yeah, tell me what you think on the short term as well.
Yeah, I mean, locally, just using the automatic support and resistance levels, we're failing at high stuff. So 6 month, weekly, high level, essentially stuff that's like market changing trends. And then the lower time frame, like daily, 2 week, the stuff you really target for scalping. Nice little pop up earlier Sunday morning, essentially failure, and then back down, creating new lows. As long as you don't create new lows, I mean, you still have the ability to potentially have put a higher low in. That's the problem. Yeah, the biggest problem right now is that what's the level that we lost, right? Like we lost this, and that's so respective of everything we're doing. What do we need to do? We need to put a higher low in, and then we need to put a higher high in. We need to essentially gain back the level that we lost that led us to the lows. And until we do that, I mean, I'm all for it.
Probably unlikely. We'll see what happens. I reckon it's going to be accumulating around here, but I ain't got any right now with the market where it's at. It's only really going to get going, I think, when they get I think it really is a fundamental play investment. I don't think anything is going to get it going.
I agree completely, and that's like you said before, dude. Like that's an entirely different mindset you have to have. Like you have to be able to put that money away. You need to read a white paper, right? You need to learn about the team. Like, and you know what though? Like I think about that and going to the next bull run eventually. I'm like, damn, I really didn't like doing that during like ICO season. Was like, read a white paper and you'd have like a stack of papers. Just like, oh,
hey, at that point, I was just throwing money at anything. Yeah, I wasn't even
Yeah.
reading them. I was just like skimming them and just throwing money in. Like I remember like Nano and shit and like Ray blocks and all those crazy ones in the first bull markets. Did crazy shit.
It's actually
I think
harder to make money in bull markets, man. It really is. In bear markets, you just short scalp everything to death until proven otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like short scalp everything to death until proven otherwise, and then in bull markets you just long everything to death. But the numbers look better because the percents. The illusion of making money in bull markets is just because the percents look bigger. But it's the market can only go down 100%. You can't go down 1,000%, but you can go up 1,000%. So calculus states, oh, I made 1,000 times, went 10x. But if something does 10x, it becomes exponentially more and more difficult. Every dollar it goes up for it to do a 10x again. But with short selling, you can short from any price at any time, at any hour, or any minute, and it's always 100% chance to make 100%. So there is a slightly different. People just think that bull markets are different, but the only reason they think of them differently is because the numbers look nicer. Because you can't make 10,000% down. It's just 100% if it goes down. But you can use leverage for that. But yeah, I was gonna say, guys, if you have any more charts, mate, go for it. Anymore, and I was going to say we'll wrap this up, but if you see everything you see on the screen in this video, guys, you can use within the MDX Algo suite. So we actually have they're called MDX Trendmaster indicators, and you can get these at MDXalgo.com. We partnered up with them and go. We got a new landing page, so you can skim through them and look at them, and go check out our new landing page. Legends is all there, ready to go, and we are fucking really excited to bring these products to market. It's been a really cool merge and partnership. And we're back at the game, Legends, ramping up for the bull market, getting ready for the big one.
Oh, yeah, big time. But that's the thing. It's like bear markets are for building, bro. That's the way it is. And
I love it. I love the clarity. It's so nice. I love bear markets. It's chill.
Yeah, it's nice. It's like
I'm not drunk all the time.
And this is also where you get sharp too, right? Like you essentially you hone in on your craft. You learn how to trade. You know how to get in and out of positions, low time frame, high time frame. And I mean, if I could just share something with like the people who are getting into trading and are still building and developing strategy, it's like I always tell people, it's like get on the 4-hour and become an assassin. Understand whatever you're trying to trade and just put the time in. Don't be friggin' lazy. It's so easy to be goddamn lazy. Like,
are you seeing this in the chat? It's some guy saying AGIX. Do you want to chart that one?
Yeah, I can do AGIX. Yeah,
I have no idea what it is.
I've seen it before. Oh, AGIX. Let me just put that on. Yeah, we had a nice, real big failures up here. That would have been a wonderful short. I did not do any of this. I did not trade it at all, but wonderful shorts. Failures that support resistance, oversold conditions, trend change, the whole lot. Bearish back test, the daily, weekly open. You have like 6-7 things of confluence basically saying, yep, we're going down, kid. And it did. So,
yeah, those in the indicator and also the stablecoin flow. So you can see these guys like freaking out. Your auto charting tools, the oscillators, and the money flow essentially from stablecoins, and it's just all pointing down from there. So that was a really, really nice example of the indicators working. So see on the flippers. What do you think? I'll have a look at it as well because this guy's battering me in the chat. He's like, come on, I will do it for you, sir. I will give you my hunch. Do you want to hear my hunch? Let me find my chart. Where is my chart? What is it? AGIX on Binance. Let's have a look. Oh man, it's a real Raku one. It looks the same as it looks the fucking same as Phantom. Same chart, just it's been going down for days and days and days and days, and it hasn't managed to break the prior high. So say it's looking a little bit better than some of these other structures, just going very, very high level here. There's no point getting into the nitty gritty. It needs to just get above this high here, which is trying to do these levels here. It needs to get above. It's beginning to try and make some higher lows, so maybe you could draw some sort of trend. As soon as it gets above there, that will be your first confirmation of something happening. And then they'll probably see resistance here, comes back down, you buy it as support, and that will probably be your entry for the foreseeable future.
Pop that high. Pop that high from August, and that's the important thing. And then the higher low from that is like the giga buy.
And if you don't get a higher low, then you missed it, but it's fine. So we go to the next trade. If you really, if you want to invest in it and you think you want to hold it for a year, buy some now, 10, 20% of your portfolio, and then wait for this trade for it to come. If you don't get it and it just goes to the moon, at least you got your 20% in. If you do get it, then you have a logical SR. And we're not going to get every single trade, guys. You're not going to be able to be there and do it and be in the position to take every single perfect entry. And the market's not even going to give it to you a lot of the time as well. It's almost like you got to take your fucking cookies and your sweets when you can. Sometimes you're not going to get the sweets. Sometimes you will. You got to take them when you can.
That's why trade planning, man. Risk to reward. If you do a 4-to-1 or higher on risk reward, you don't even need to win most of your trades. You can your win rate can be 40%.
Well, our trading bot loses 75% of the time, but makes 900 to 1,200% over 4 years or 3 years. Yeah. So most of the best trading strategies I actually see, especially swing trading strategies, they are predominantly losing strategies in terms of the percent of wins to losses. But it's just the wins win massively. And then we have this strategy where we use the trading bot in the swings, and then we're actually going to have it so we counter trade the signals in the ranges. So we get something which identifies the range in a swing. So that's a trading. The only thing you got to fucking do, Legends, is just be able to identify when a market goes into a range and when it's about to go into a trend.
I mean,
and that's
where it failed
really,
right there.
really going to get you so far.
Yeah, right there. It literally failed to hide the range. Like the local range, it failed to hide, but like perfectly.
Yeah, bullshit. There you go. Gone the alley.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all you got to really identify, guys, is when things are going to stay range bound. There's going to be gray areas, obviously. Look at that, bang. But ultimately, that's where you're going to save yourself so many losses. You know, when you're in the trade of the swing, you're fine. When you're in the fucking scalp short in the range, you're fine. It's when the market changes, the environment changes, and you really need to plan for that. Have a swing trading strategy, which is automated, and then scalp and counter trade it. Basically, that's how I found to make a lot of money. But guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Go check out MDX Algo. We're going to continue this conversation, me and Crypto Viking in the VIP chat. So go to mdxalgo.com, get the whole package. $69. You'll get the VIP Discord server, which is the VIP traders group. You get all the indicators you just saw. You'll get the academy section with all the training. We have the one-on-one coaching. So it's a freaking joke, the value. Most people just get the yearly because it's just such good value. But we'll see you in there, guys. We'll go to the group now. And enjoy the video if you're rewatching it. Like it as well. And you're all legends. If you're watching as a replay viewer and you're still here, you're a legend. You're a goat. You did it. Legends. You gonna say anything to end the video, Viking? I was waiting for you to be like bye, and I was like, "Where are you, brother? Let's go. I'm on my fucking own here, mate."
Sorry, I was laughing to myself.
I'm just out here.
No, it's like no. I mean, totally agree with you, man. Yeah, check out the stuff. It's really awesome. If you're doing like that algo trading, like the bot stuff, I mean, realistically, win rate does not equal profit, and that's a big thing people need to get out of their heads. It's profit factor. It's profit over drawdown, and that's all that matters in all of your trading. I guess the biggest thing here is like plan your trade and trade your plan. Don't overthink shit, and don't think. Don't be like, oh, I just rediscovered the wheel and I got this magical new thing. It doesn't exist, except the indicators. Use that with a good strategy, good base. You'll make money over time. It's a proven system.
All right, legends. We'll see you in the Discord. Get mdxalgo.com. I'll see you on the flippers. Goodbye. Bye-bye.
Peace.